And his last question came in from Andrew Rauch, who pointed me in the direction of a breakdown of all of the different Windows 10 licenses that are offered to OEMs, to manufacturers when they're making new computers. And we're often seeing many computers that we review here on the channel, the cheap ones, coming only with 32 gigabytes of storage. In the video that we did just this past week of the Chewy Lapbook SE, they put Windows on that 32 gigabyte eMMC partition, but they also had an M2 SATA drive built in with an extra 128 gigabytes of storage, but the Windows install had to be put on that 32 gigabyte eMMC. And this link here will give you some idea as to what some of these OEMs are paying. Likely they're paying less than this because they're buying at volume, but if I was to open up a computer factory tomorrow, this is probably what I would be paying. And if you want a Windows license on an entry-level machine, it has to be running an Atom, Celeron, or Pentium processor. It needs 4 gigabytes or less, 32 gigabytes maximum storage, and it has to be a 14.1-inch display or lower for a laptop. Tablets have to be 11.6-inch or smaller, and all-in-ones are 17 inches or smaller. And if you can meet that criteria, then the cost is $25. Now, whether or not Microsoft would consider that extra SSD that they're selling with the Chewy legit or not, that's up to them and Microsoft to hammer out, but it looks like that's why they did what they did. On the value side, you basically have the same hardware here, but you can go up to 64 gigabytes of internal storage SSD, or they'll let you put in a 500 gigabyte hard disk drive. But again, you've got to stick within the same display limitations. And just adding that extra storage is going to cost the vendor an additional $20 to Microsoft. So you can see how this scales as you're manufacturing thousands of units. They also have the Core, which is basically like your i5 chips and whatnot. The price on those is about $65, and it must not meet the specs below. So in other words, a 720p display gets you the Core, it appears. And then if you have a Core Plus with a high-end CPU, you are paying $86. So it's quite a big uptick here when you go above 4 gigabytes and above a 1080p display, which is probably why we see some of these 15-inch laptops with the 720p display and only 4 gigs of RAM, because they want to try to get that lower licensing charge there. And then if you go to the advanced section here, you're pretty much paying almost retail price for that Windows license. That includes any computer that ships with a 4K resolution display. So helpful little guide there. You can check out more at the article linked on screen from Paul Thurrott's site. He's got a lot of great Windows information there, so definitely worth checking it out for that stuff too.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Chris Allegretta, the Four Guys with Quarters podcast, Tom Albrecht, Too Much Sauce, Gerard Nuberg, and Kalyan Kumar. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit lon.tv/s.